the Wagah border, also known as the Berlin Wall of Asia. It's the only crossing point between India and Pakistan, two countries that are perpetually at odds. Here, every evening, military from both camps take part in a mock battle. A grand uniformed parade with gestures that are threatening and aggressive, but all in a bizarrely euphoric atmosphere, as if it were a sporting event between two enemy brothers. But today, the 2,000 spectators are under no illusion as to what will take place in just a few hours in this very spot. It's midnight, and the stage is set for our spy novel. This man in the middle with the fierce moustache and a black eye is a pilot for the IAF, the Indian Air Force. Just 2 days earlier, his fighter jet, a MiG-21, was shot down by the Pakistani Air Force. All was caught on camera, from the aerial combat to the Indian pilot who managed to eject himself before the plane crashed, even his arrest. Unfortunately for him, he fell on the wrong side of the border. In an episode of supreme humiliation, this Indian pilot returned to his country, and the footage will be broadcast live on Pakistani television. Between these two nations, both of whom hold atomic bombs, tensions have run high ever since 1947. That's over 70 years ago. Located between eastern India, western Iran, Afghanistan and northern China, Pakistan finds itself strategically placed. For a long time it has served as the American front lines, primarily against the Soviet bloc. This so-called land of the pure continues to engage in violence against its Indian enemy brother over the question of Kashmir, both claiming sovereignty over the region. But their fighting also takes place in the north, in the most naturally hostile place possible, the Himalayas, all in order to guard its most treasured possession.
Across that ridgeline is India.
The Siachen Glacier, the world's largest existing freshwater reserve, 70% of the Indian and Pakistani population depend upon it. So at 6,000 meters in altitude, we find a phony war at glacial temperatures more deathly than weapons. 1,000 Pakistani soldiers and 3,000 Indian military fighters are positioned here.
Right now we are here in sector headquarters, Siachen sector.
Pakistan, a country full of contradictions. The first Islamic republic in history, it aspires to develop alongside modernization, but it remains an epicenter of radical Islamism. A portion of the population has stayed faithful to a regressive form of Islam, which advocates strict Sharia law and supports terrorism.
लेकिन उसके बाद हमें बहुत जो है पूरी दुनिया के अंदर पाकिस्तान अमेरिका के ऊपर हुकूमत करेगा इंशाअल्लाह।
कहते हैं फ्रांस पे भी हुकूमत करेगा।
बिल्कुल।
The task of protecting children from stumbling into the hands of dangerous extremists has been taken on by a French woman. Valérie Khan builds schools in the most unlikely of places. Half of the country's children have been withdrawn from school. This French woman is certain that education is the only way to save these younger generations.
J'espère que ces enfants puissent avoir un avenir, une profession et ne pas être exploités.
In this country of over 200 million inhabitants, among whom 95% are Muslim, there is a tangible sense of doom. A minority group does its best to survive against all odds. These are the Christians of Pakistan. There are over 2 million, and for them the situation is far from perfect.
ਚਾਚੂ ਦੇ ਬੇਟੇ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਘਰ ਜਲਾਤਾ ਕੋਈ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਾਡੀ ਬਚੀ ਹੈ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਜਲਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਹੈ
A war for water at the top of the world, a country torn between its desire for change and extremist temptations, a journey through a forbidden Pakistan.
Allahu Akbar.
Ever since the separation of the two countries in 1947, India and Pakistan have refused to relinquish an inch of land to either side. A continuous battle over this desert region, an area cut off from civilization. It took us months of negotiations to get authorization to enter this battleground, which has the highest altitude in the world. Commander Asif is part of a team called Fearless. These are the most highly trained helicopter pilots in the world, capable of climbing over 7,000 meters in altitude in order to aid struggling mountain climbers in the Himalayas. But once a day, Asif has another much more important mission on his hands. That is to bring supplies to Pakistani soldiers.
Flight condition is difficult in this place. In winters we face yet a danger, which is the fresh snow. You might have seen while landing. It causes a sort of white curtain around the helicopter.
The Pakistani government pumps $80 million a year into this war at the top of the Himalayas. India at least double that. Why? The answer lies just beneath us.
This valley right here is Indus Valley.
The Indus River provides 90% of Pakistan's drinking water, but also its electricity, and of course it's essential for agriculture. If India, the enemy country, managed to burst the valve, it would bring an entire country to its knees. That's why 1,000 Pakistani military soldiers have been stationed up there for over 30 years.
So that's the glacier, starting from that place. It is the snout beginning.
At almost the size of New York, the Siachen is one of the largest freshwater reserves in the world. On its good days, when the ice is melting, the Siachen Glacier provides drinking water to the whole of Pakistan and a large part of India, which explains why this is a strategic spot for the two countries.
And you see the track in the middle of the glacier. This is the track used by soldiers to go to the posts.
When the United Nations established the border between India and Pakistan 70 years ago, this no man's land appeared at first glance to be of little interest to anyone. An inhospitable environment. The UN representatives thus decided the glacier would officially belong to neither country. The two nations have been fighting over it ever since. This conflict culminated in the Kargil War in 1999. During the winter, the Indian Army tended to leave its highest posts. That year, the Pakistanis took advantage of this opportunity to seize these outposts. Its ego bruised, India retaliated by sending 200,000 soldiers to reclaim them one by one. This took 3 months and cost them the lives of 1,000 soldiers. A period of static warfare has persisted ever since. India currently claims possession of around 40 outposts.
Towards your right, that one.
Pakistan a mere dozen outposts. Before today, no camera has had permission to film in this extremely secret location.
So you have to wait over there, okay? Once I take off, you have to sit down, push on your luggage. Okay, sit on your luggage and grab it tight.
For a Pakistani officer, commanding here is not a punishment, but a great honor. We meet a head of post, Captain Sher. He commands 200 to 300 men.
Welcome to Siachen. Captain, where are we? Right now we are here in sector headquarters, Siachen sector. Actually, this place is known as Kunduz Band. The name of this place is Kunduz Band. This acts as the sector headquarters for Siachen sector. Siachen is actually the pass between Pakistan and the Indian border. It's stretched behind us, almost at a distance of 15 kilometers from this pass.
The press officer who is with us now intervenes.
Interview is not.
No interview?
No. And this briefing is also not.
Forbidden from interviewing the soldiers, and above all, forbidden from separating from the group, as potential dangers here are everywhere.
Autour de nous, des crevasses qui font 200 mètres, 300 mètres. Si on quitte le sentier, c'est une chute vertigineuse.
To survive such extreme conditions, Captain Sher and his soldiers must climb gradually in stages, taking an entire month to reach the top. At an altitude of 6,000 meters, the smallest physical movement demands supernatural strength.
L'oxygène excessivement rare. Il faut faire chaque pas tout doucement.
With the temperature minus 10 degrees Celsius, it's almost a heat wave for these soldiers who are used to lows of minus 40 and minus 50. The headquarters are in sight, and in fact certain civilians are authorized to climb up here, namely mule drivers. They bring fuel, the sole source of energy at this altitude.
What's your name, sir?
Raza.
Plaza?
Yeah.
They bring 50-litre full jerry cans. A donkey can transport 2 per journey.
You are not cold with equipment? Good?
Good.
These mule drivers are trained to travel in all conditions, and most importantly, they charge much less than an hour-long helicopter ride. The headquarters are found at the very top of the mountain, and that is not by chance. Nobody here has forgotten about the disaster that struck a few years back. One night in 2012, 138 on-duty Pakistani soldiers awoke to a colossal avalanche in what was then the logistics base. The headquarters became their grave as they were buried under 20 meters of rock and ice. It took 1.5 years of searching to recover the bodies and rebury them with dignity. The bases have been built to be better exposed ever since, but they are harder to access.
I'm Paul. Nice to meet you.
Welcome to Kundel's band.
At first glance, it appears to be a hostel for farmers, but it is also a military camp. There is little luxury here, but Captain Sher and his men are not the type to complain.
You live here?
Yes, we live here. It has been 1.5 months over here.
How many times you can resist here?
No, actually we live here. This is the place where we live.
And you have to patrol?
No, please.
Huh?
No interview, I've told you. No interview.
But off camera, we learn that the soldiers are removed every 2 months to prevent them from going crazy. From the outside, it seems an absurd form of war, monitoring an often invisible enemy that lies just on the other side of these mountains. And for this job, they train every day, walking in the deep snow for hours on end. They must also train their reflexes in case of a surprise attack, which may never even come.
Position. On target, fire.
Since 1984, the conflict has claimed 8,000 Pakistani soldiers as victims. 3/4 of them, however, did not die from shootings, but have simply frozen to death. The mountain heights stand as more of a fatal enemy than any of the Indian army.
Allahu Akbar. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
While at high altitudes these two brother enemies stand in strict opposition, further down the mountain, a year of tensions has claimed victims on a daily basis. Not so long ago, the Neelum Valley was one of the places most visited by tourists in Pakistan, a mini paradise on earth. Today, however, no one is safe on its roads.
A civilian bus that was traveling on this road, and few enemy troops, they come down out of their post and they fired rocket launcher and some guided missile on that civilian poster, and resultantly 7 civilian individuals, they got martyred.
To the left of the river is Pakistan. On the right is India. 350,000 Indian soldiers are positioned along the entirety of this border.
This is the post to fire? Yes, the poster that was moving on this road, the few individuals, they fired directly on that poster.
Hassan is no taxi driver. He is the military commander of the whole Neelum region. As a safety precaution, he travels incognito, in the guise of a civilian.
You can see few bunkers on the upper side.
In order to prevent terrorist attacks by Pakistan, India has erected a double-layered barbed wire fence 3 meters high, equipped with searchlights, thermal imaging cameras and movement detectors. A 550-meter-long impenetrable orange wall seen on this photograph. The night is now visible even from space. This line of control continues until it hits another wall, the Himalayas and the Siachen Glacier. The United Nations issued a ceasefire over the entire area, which neither camp has respected. It's a rule that is regularly violated. Colonel Hassan leads us to a village that nevertheless depends on this ceasefire.
अभी जख्मी तो कोई नहीं है इधर अभी नहीं सब घर शहर इनको दिखाएं ना जरा मेरा बेटा भी चला गया ये ऊपर घर ऊपर से भी
The day before, Neelum was bombed by the Indian army. This house in ruins, with smoke still visible, stands as proof. The village's inhabitants are comforting the owner of this house, which he had just finished building. It was going to be his retirement home.
इंडिया गोला लग गया ना, हम सोए हुए थे रात को 9 बजे का टाइम था, 11 अक्टूबर के दिन था। इंडिया का गोला आया और हिट हो गया मकान के ऊपर और जल गए। तो हम घर के अंदर थे, बेसमेंट में थे, जब गोला आया उसके ऊपर हिट हो गया और हिट होने के बाद हम भाग गए और मकान जल गया।
पाँव में जूतियां भी नहीं थी, बच्चों को बचाया बस अल्लाह का फजल हो गया।
The villagers suspect the Indian army used a phosphorus bomb, which has officially been banned for 40 years. As with every bomb attack, the UN will launch an investigation as to whether or not this was in fact the case.
अल्लाह का शुक्र है कि बच गए हैं।
A little further away, Colonel Hassan leads us to another family that narrowly escaped. Upstairs, there is nothing left. Just 2 meters away, the bomb fell directly onto the bed where the family were sleeping. Colonel Hassan does not understand why civilians are targeted in this way.
There is no military installation in close vicinity of this, so there is no sense that they have engaged this place in retaliation to engaging some military target.
It's the second time in 2 months that this house has come under attack.
This is the picture of this lady, she got injured.
This mother was hit in the eye, and her son, aged 4, was also hit by the shell. He will have these scars for life. For a while now, bombings have almost been a daily occurrence. A third of the inhabitants have given up and left the region. But there remain a number of persistent villagers, ready to stay at all costs.
एरिया हम क्यों छोड़ें? हमारे बाप दादा का, हमारे नस्ल दर नस्ल का 400-500 साल से हम यहाँ आबाद हैं और वो कश्मीर और ये कश्मीर दोनों हमारा है. हम अपनी फ़ौज की तो पुष्टिबान हैं. फ़ौज तो हमारे लिए कर रही है वो सब कुछ. इसलिए सबसे ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है कि हम यहाँ रहेंगे और अपनी ज़मीन पर रहेंगे. हम अपना इलाका नहीं छोड़ सकते.
The threat of war between India and Pakistan now feels stronger than ever, an expensive conflict that will considerably stunt the country's development. To gain a better understanding, we head further south to Islamabad, the country's capital. This is the desired image of Pakistan that the government wishes to promote, a Western, modernized country, signified, for example, by its vast shopping mall, the Centaurus. Marble floors, fashion boutiques, one might even believe they're in Dubai. On the surface, Pakistan appears to be undergoing change. But then we meet people like Shahzad, aged 25. He works as a janitor in the Centaurus for 9 hours a day, 6 days a week. In Pakistan, cleaning is a profession considered to be at the bottom of the social spectrum, along with sewage workers, rubbish collectors and house servants.
मुश्किल सर ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਵੇਖ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਹੀ ਹੈ ਸਾਰੀ ਦਿਹਾੜੀ ਸਵੇਰ 8 ਵਜੇ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਆ ਤੇ ਸ਼ਾਮੀ 5 ਵਜੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ ਮੁਸ਼ਕਿਲ ਸਰ 15000 ਰੁਪਏ ਸਰ ਲਿੱਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਫਿਰ ਸਵੇਰ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ 5 ਵਜੇ ਤੱਕ ਡਿਊਟੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਕੋਈ ਹੋਰ ਚੋਇਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਰ ਸਰ ਨੌਕਰੀਆਂ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਨੇ ਅਪਲਾਈ ਕੀਤੇ ਨੇ ਕਾਗਜ਼ ਜੇ ਕਿਤੇ ਅੱਛੀ ਨਿਕਲ ਆਵੇ ਡਿਊਟੀ ਕੋਈ ਜੋਬ
Shahzad is forced to do this for the rest of his life, all because of his religion. He is Christian, religion considered impure in the eyes of many Muslims. A form of segregation still exists in Pakistan. The 2.5 million Christians that live here are not entitled to the same jobs or basic rights as Muslims, and are at times subjected to harsh persecution. The Asia Bibi blasphemy case is engraved in the country's memory. This Christian woman was sentenced to death for blasphemy in 2010. Her crime? She had drunk from a well reserved for Muslims. Her release after 8 years on death row triggered a wave of protests and opposition throughout Pakistan. Even today, this law against blasphemy hangs as an ominous threat over Shahzad and many other Christians. And so, as a precaution, they keep a low profile. Shahzad nevertheless agrees to take us to his home. It's 5 minutes from his work. Every day he rides by these luxury villas, all under high surveillance, a taste of what he will never have. Shahzad lives at the end of this street, in French Colony, a neighborhood which was once upon a time home to the French ambassador. It has now become the poorest slum in the capital. In this 1 kilometre square area live 8,000 people, the majority of whom are Christian.
ਹੁਣ ਮਜਬੂਰੀ ਦੇ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰਨੇ ਪਏ ਗੁਜ਼ਾਰਾ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਮਹੀਨੇ ਪੂਰੇ ਦਾ ਜੋਬ ਕਿਤੇ ਲੱਭਦੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਰਕਾਰੀ ਕਿਤੇ ਜੋਬ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਭਦੀ ਕਿਤੇ ਹੋਰ ਕਿਤੇ ਅੱਛੀ ਜੋਬ ਲੱਭਦੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਈ
Even Shahzad considers himself more fortunate than his neighbours. He owns his own house. His father bought it not long ago and when he died, left it to his 2 sons.
ਕੀ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ ਕੀ ਹੋਇਆ
Shahzad shares this single room with his wife Sonia, their daughter Salmaya, aged 3, and their son Ayan, born just a few months ago. As devout Christians, Sonia and Shahzad's only hope is for things to change one day.
फर्क ये है कि मुस्लिम लोग जो हैं वो पढ़े लिखे होते हैं और अच्छी नौकरियां मिलती हैं उनको और अच्छी वो उनकी सैलरी होती है और हमारे लोग जो हैं वो गरीब लोग हैं अपने बच्चों को पढ़ा नहीं सकते इतनी तालीम नहीं होती और इसलिए अच्छी जॉबें नहीं मिलती और सैलरी बहुत कम होती है.
Sonia and Shahzad fortunately have not experienced religious persecution, but their neighbour on the other hand has. Malala experienced what all Christians here fear, a mob, a punitive expedition carried out by religious extremists. Malala's cousin had won in a round of card games and her opponents were Muslim. They then accused her of having burned the Quran.
ਸਾਰੇ ਸਾਡੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਕਲੋਨੀ ਦੇ ਵੀ ਸੀ ਲੋਕੀ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਰਾ ਸਾਡਾ ਘਰ ਜਲਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਚਾਚੂ ਦੇ ਬੇਟੇ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਘਰ ਜਲਾਤਾ ਕੋਈ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਬਚੀ ਹੈ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਜਲਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਚਾਚੂ ਦੇ ਬੇਟੇ ਨੂੰ ਫਿਰ ਕਿਨਾਲ ਦਾ ਚਰਚ ਦੇ ਫਾਦਰ ਸੀ ਚਰਚ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੋਸਟਲ ਸੀ ਗਰਲ ਹੋਸਟਲ ਮਸੀਹ ਸੀ ਸੰਗਲਾਲ ਦੇ ਨਜ਼ੂਲੇ ਰੂ ਚਰਚ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਸੰਗਲਾਲ ਦੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡਾ ਪੈਰਿਸ਼ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹ ਹੋਸਟਲ ਸੀ ਕੁੜੀਆਂ ਦਾ ਉੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਆਣ ਕੇ ਬੜੀ ਫਾਇਰਿੰਗ ਕੀਤੀ ਫਿਰ ਫਾਦਰ ਵਗੈਰਾ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਗੋਲੀਆਂ ਵਗੈਰਾ ਚਲਾਈਆਂ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਨਾ.
That was 15 years ago. Malala then escaped to Islamabad, to French colony. Today she gets by thanks to her skills in clothes making. She has even forgiven her attackers.
अच्छा कहने कि मसीह होने की वजह तो नहीं ऐसे कि डालदा मसीहत की वजह तो नहीं असी गरीब है या असी कह लो कि आजमाइशां आंदियां ने ठीक है बहुत ज़्यादा मुस्लिम भी जड़े रहे गरीब ने आजमाइशां विच ने ठीक है ते
The only outing Christians allow themselves here is on a Sunday, a day of rest for Shahzad. They head over to Mass. Sonia is Catholic and Shahzad is Protestant. So they alternate between the church and the Catholic temple. The women sit on one side, the men on the other. As long as the law on blasphemy remains, Pakistan's Christians will not stay quiet. They continue to be under the threat of religious extremists, more active today than ever before. Not far from the French colony, we meet one such extremist, one of the most influential leaders in the area. He has been calling for jihad, the holy war and the establishment of an Islamist regime by the Taliban. He runs this Quranic school in the centre of Islamabad. It is estimated that 10% of the Pakistani population are exposed to his impassioned preaching. That's 20 million people. This is Abdul Aziz Ghazi, and he is no stranger to the French. Mohammed Mira, the terrorist who has been nicknamed Scooter Killer. In 2012, he murdered 7 people in cold blood in Toulouse and Montauban, 3 of whom were children in a school, all for being Jewish. Several months before this, Mohammed Mira had met with Abdul Aziz Ghazi in Pakistan.
बहुत नौजवान आते हैं और जैसे आप आए और एक नहीं बहुत सारे आते हैं और चले जाते हैं तो मेरे इल्म में नहीं है कि आया हो.
And instead of condemning these murderers,
अगर अल्लाह के रास्ते में मारा गया तो शहीद है. अगर उसकी नीयत गॉड के रास्ते में लड़ना था तो शहीद है.
8 years ago, these claims disturbed many people, and today his position has not changed. We follow this ominous mullah to what he calls his library, an entire wall of exclusively religious books. At the entrance, a sign that sets the tone.
इस्लाम हमें एक तसव्वुर देता है और वो तसव्वुर ये देता है कि आपकी असल दुनिया ये नहीं है। आपकी असल दुनिया मरने के बाद शुरू होगी। देखिए जिहाद तो अच्छी चीज़ है, जिहाद में और जंग में फ़र्क है। जंग में जुल्म सितम होता है, इस्लाम जिहाद तो जुल्म के ख़िलाफ़ है, मज़ालिम के ख़िलाफ़ है, मज़लूमों पर नहीं है, मज़लूमों के हक़ में है, चाहे वो मुसलमान हो या गैर मुस्लिम हो।
Abdul Aziz Ghazi continues to overtly preach terrorist vindications and violence and is in his prime. When he controlled Lal Masjid, also known as the Red Mosque, a highly radical mosque, the most extreme in the country, he would advocate rebellion. In 2007, his followers took up arms and began spreading terror throughout the capital. We were now at the start of an uprising. For the army controlling the country, this was the last straw. The military surrounded the Red Mosque and decided to remove Abdul Aziz Ghazi and his followers. Abdul Aziz Ghazi, however, managed to escape. He was arrested by the police while attempting to flee, disguised as a woman. This led to his nickname of Mullah Burqa. He should have been sentenced to life in prison, but the authorities decided to release him. The ruling powers of the time persuaded him to agree to a ceasefire in the capital. The day of his release, hundreds of his followers gathered in celebration and came to welcome him.
और आइंदा भी इंशाअल्लाह निफाज़ इस्लाम की कोशिश करते रहेंगे। हमारी ज़िंदगी का मकसद यही है कि हम अपने इस मुल्क के अंदर इस्लामी निज़ाम को लाएं और उसके ज़रिए अमन कायम करें।
Abdul Aziz Ghazi has been on house arrest ever since, but he is free to teach young students in his prodigious Quranic school.
यहाँ तो थोड़े हैं, असल हमारा बड़ा मदरसा वहाँ है लड़कों का। चलो बुलाएं को।
He allows us inside a small part of the establishment. In this room, 15 or so children are learning the Quran by heart and a particularly strict interpretation of Sharia law. Today, as if by chance, prayer will be led by the man himself, also known around here as the guide, through a golden microphone, though with a few technical hitches. He claims to have 3,000 young boys under his wing and an entire building reserved for the girls.
ये सारा उनसे क्या मदरसा है, इसके नीचे भी बेसमेंट है और ये दूसरी मंजिल है और ये ऊपर मस्जिद है, बच्चियां नमाज पढ़ती हैं। ये वहाँ से लेके वहाँ तक सारा बिल्कुल ऐसा नहीं है। हमारे यहाँ इस वक्त यहाँ 1600 बच्ची पढ़ रही है।
The mullah has no problem recruiting students. In a country where 20 million children are illiterate due to parents' lack of funds to send them to school, a madrasa that offers to teach them to read and write, and which feeds them for free, is seen by many as a golden ticket.
ये हम यहाँ ला के सब्जी रख देते हैं ताकि फिर पकाते हैं। हर 3 दिन बाद सब्जी आती है। अब्दुल सत्तार वो अपना स्टोर खोलो स्टोर।
When asked how he pays for all this, Abdul Aziz Ghazi says the money falls from the sky. He refuses to give the precise origin of these resources.
बहुत छोटी है समाज। अभी हम इसको बढ़ाना चाहते हैं। फ्रांस में भी बनाना चाहते हैं। फ्रांस में भी बनाना चाहते हैं।
Is he serious? Another madrasa? Perhaps not. Before letting us leave, Abdul Aziz Ghazi lets us in on his master plan.
आप कम से कम भी अगर 100वां हिस्सा भी खड़ा हो जाए तो ये 1.5 करोड़ है। अगर 1.5 करोड़ आदमी इमाम महदी के हाथ पर मौत की बैत कर लेते हैं और कहीं जहाँ कहेंगे हम उड़ा के रखने के जो सामने आएगा। सऊदी अरब पर, मिस्र पर, शाम पर, जज़ायर पर, 57 इस्लामी मुल्कों पर उसका कब्ज़ा हो जाएगा। और इन पर जब कब्ज़ा हो गया और इनकी फ़ौज और इनका असलहा सब एक हो गया तो फिर पूरी दुनिया पर गलबा कोई मुश्किल नहीं होगा, चूँकि जो भी गैर मुस्लिम हैं उनके पास ऐसे फ़ाइट करने वाले नहीं हैं जो मुसलमानों के पास हैं।
After an hour, with a smile on his face, Abdul Aziz Ghazi puts an end to our visit. How is it that mullahs as dangerous as these can operate with such ease, while political powers around the world are desperately trying to end radical Islam? The answer is to be found in the suburbs of Islamabad, where the mullah recruits his disciples by the bucket load. These ominous-looking chimneys, which pump out black smoke throughout the day, are no less than brick manufacturing furnaces. Hundreds of them are scattered around the capital. Here they make bricks in a way similar to that of the Stone Age. A place of poverty and school dropouts, it is the perfect hunting ground for Islamists.
बेटा क्या नाम है आपका?
शाहिद।
एक दिन में कितनी ईंटें बनाते हो?
2000।
बेटा कितनी उम्र है आपकी?
10 साल।
बेटा उम्र कितनी है आपकी?
5।
Their youngest brother is still too young to work 14 hours a day, 6 days a week, but he knows what awaits him, just like these children playing nearby.
क्या खेल रहे हो बताओ ना?
ईंटें।
Ali is an Afghan refugee. He is paid by the brick, 1 Pakistani rupee per brick made.
तो कितना अरसा हो गया शेरवली यहाँ पर काम करते हुए?
हम तो बचपन से बस ये भट्टे में काम कर।
रोजाना कितनी पैसे मिल जाते हैं आपको?
2000-1800।
Poverty is Pakistan's most glaring crisis. 40% of the population live off less than 23 euros per month, and that is per person. Non-religious schooling is expensive, with tuition costs, books, school uniforms to think about. So when a fundamentalist mullah offers to teach these children for free to give them a chance to escape this life, most parents find it very difficult to refuse such an offer. Fighting to protect entire families from falling into the hands of radical extremism, one French woman has stepped up to the job. Her name is Valerie Khan. She has lived in Pakistan for 20 years.
ओके तो आज आसिफ पहले NFI फिर मशा स्कूल की तरफ जल्दी जल्दी लंच खाएंगे फिर NCSW की तरफ जाएंगे MOU साइन करने के लिए ठीक है?
Vous êtes complètement intégré, vous parlez la langue, non?
Oui, la langue, c'est un outil important pour l'intégration, c'est clair. Oui, alors je la parle malheureusement imparfaitement, car je n'ai pas eu le temps de l'apprendre de manière académique.
Valerie moved here for love with a Pakistani man, with whom she has 4 children. But she has fallen equally in love with the country. It is for this reason that she fights against its archaic traditions. A number of years ago, she made a name for herself when she defended the case of some women who fell victim to acid attacks, a crime which until then had gone unpunished. This inhumane act is now punishable by 14 years in prison. But today, Valerie has a new fight on her hands, and some of it takes place here, in the slums of Islamabad. 100,000 people live here, 10% of the capital's population. The children are almost all illiterate.
Ils viennent près des villes pour avoir des opportunités économiques autres. Et souvent, c'est la grande désillusion, il n'y a pas de logement approprié, c'est très cher. Les enfants travaillent, il n'y a pas d'école, pas d'eau potable forcément disponible. Donc on essaie de les aider à mettre tout cela en place.
Through her NGO, Valerie builds small schools in the slums where they teach children to read and write. The majority of these children have never held a pen in their life. When children first arrive here, even at 7 or 8 years old, they are barely at nursery school level of education.
Comme ils n'ont jamais été scolarisés, on commence à les familiariser avec des concepts, des comportements, ce qu'on appelle des savoir-être, des savoir-faire et des savoirs, et de faire que ces enfants puissent avoir un avenir, une profession et ne pas être exploités.
The task is not a simple one. In Pakistan, of the 50 million children, half will never attend school. This evening, Valerie allows herself a short break at home with her family. It is her youngest daughter Camille's birthday. Valerie is aware of her own privilege. Her husband comes from a long line of a highly respected Pashto family. And though inequalities remain alarmingly high in Pakistan, both feel the country has come a long way in the past 20 years.
L'avenir du Pakistan, à l'heure actuelle, à mon sens, il est dans une phase cruciale parce que c'est une transition historique. Je pense que les 5 à 10 années à venir vont être déterminantes pour le pays. Je pense qu'il y a une prise de conscience accrue des autorités, mais aussi de la population, des citoyens. C'est juste que ça prend du temps.
Valerie knows this too well. Tomorrow she has a very important meeting, the culmination of a long-fought battle. The city of Mardan is located just 1.5 hours from where bin Laden was eventually found in hiding. It is here that the tribal zones are found. Until recently, the law of the Islamabad government had no hold here. In these tribal areas, it was the Jirga, the assembly of elders, that enforced justice. As a result, people here are suspicious of reforms. But this morning, the city of Mardan is in high security mode. The governor has just inaugurated the region's very first child tribunal.
Pourquoi il y a autant de monde en armes?
Parce que les zones tribales qui avaient leur système informel, tribaux pour la justice, sont en train d'être réformés et on installe des tribunaux formels. Et tout le monde n'est pas d'accord, il y a des grosses menaces sécuritaires.
In this part of Pakistan, the rights of minors are almost never respected. Children here can be subject to being beaten to death, forced marriage and sexual abuse. And the perpetrators are almost never tried, at risk of causing dishonor. So this specialized tribunal, led by a woman no less, is a revolutionary event.
C'est la deuxième femme juge de la province. Voilà, donc on promeut les droits de la femme aussi.
Yeah, it's most important day of my career because most of the cases are decided after concessional statement. The guardians of the minors mostly put compromise before the court, the way we have patched up the matter with the offender due to the pressure of the society or elders of the locality. But now we have to deal with all the offenders with strict hands.
But this reform will mean children must dare to speak out. Valerie has invited the children from the orphanage to show them the new installations and to let them know that in this tribunal everything has been done to ensure fair and equal trials. Any young victims from the province of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa will be able to follow and witness court hearings in complete privacy and anonymity from this room. The accused will sit in the audience room next door. This way, the perpetrator will never come into contact with its victims, something that before today was unheard of.
Droit, qui est souvent présentée comme une province où, très dangereuse, où les gens sont très conservateurs, où rien ne change, prouve le contraire. Voilà. Donc ça va révolutionner le fait le principe, le système de justice pour l'enfance. Et à mon sens, c'est ce qui contribue justement directement à promouvoir la stabilité, la cohésion sociale et la sécurité.
Since filming, 3 new child tribunals have been held. Democracy is in progress in Pakistan, in large part thanks to pressure from younger generations hungry for freedom. Proof of this is found in the universities that are beginning to open around the country. Like, for example, in Quetta, in Baluchistan, a region bordering Afghanistan. It is the poorest area in the whole country. Here, the weight of tradition is much heavier than elsewhere. And yet, it is where we find the country's most modern university. BUTEMS, as it is called, raises the country's most respected elite, with more than 10,000 students attending.
Mechanical wale bahar baith gaye. Ready? Ready?
Today, students will be pushed to their sporting limits. With exams finished, the mood is relaxed. The university's director welcomes us. He shows us proudly to their most recent installation, a startup incubator. In just a few weeks, these 4 masterminds have managed to create a type of fuel that generates half the amount of pollution as diesel.
This is the biodiesel, which we have produced from waste cooking oil, and this is the byproduct from the process. Diesel is a cheap source of energy which you can use in engine without engine modifications, and it has a lower price than the diesel.
They are already in negotiation with the investors. One investors in UK has already approached them, and he's ready to invest a couple of million rupees in their startup.
These young Pakistanis are discovering their own strength, and so are Sarah and Miriam. They launched their meal delivery service company a year ago. They were among the first female company directors in Quetta.
A stereotype here is that women can't work here, outside. It is a better option for women to be inside their home, rather be outside to do work.
We hope so far that youngsters are going to change the stereotype and break whatever was made by, our ancestors, that they thought about women, that they can't go out and work. So we are the initiators.
They are becoming very resilient. They are now starting to fight for their rights.
Just 10 years ago, the number of women pursuing higher education in Baluchistan was in the dozens. Now they represent 20% of the demographic at BUTEMS. Some wearing veils, others without. A snapshot of the contradictions of Pakistan.
This is true in the campus, or you can go on the street in Quetta like this?
Like in some areas I can go. Like nobody will stop me, nobody will force me that wear a hijab or something. It's like I have the freedom. But like in some areas, like
few.
Yeah. In few areas, yeah.
And the others, you have to wear the scarf.
I'll just have to cover my head, not the face. Like it's not obligatory. Like nobody will force me.
Mentalities are changing, but not as quickly as these young people would like. In this region, only 1 in 4 girls go to school. Before our departure, the Pakistani army has one final surprise in store for us. Baluchistan is the most unstable of the country's provinces, a regular hotspot for attacks by both Islamists and separatists. Keen to prove to us that all is now under control, the military performs a literal communication operation. Colonel Khurram, powerful leader of the region, drives in a bulletproof car and under strict security. But despite any danger, he hands out goodies and games to keep the population on his side.
part of your job?
This is the job. भाई को दे दो.
Just look at him.
We are now headed to the Charman border crossing.
Khuda Hafiz. Goodbye, Pakistan.
Yeah. And then this is the custom area.
This is the Old Silk Road, the most significant point of passage between Pakistan and Afghanistan. The equivalent of $2.5 billion worth of merchandise crosses this border each year.
So the total flux of individuals every day from both sides, it is from 25,000 to 30,000. Other than that, the trade which we handle here, that amounts to 800 to 1,000 vehicles per day. If you kindly follow me, I can show you.
Cameras are not permitted beyond this point, but today the military have made an exception to the rule. The Pakistani authorities have been accused of double dealing with the Taliban, of letting them cross the border when it pleases them to take shelter here. Today, the army searches everyone individually.
To facilitate the trade, you can see all the vehicles coming. They are coming in single line, and the custom staff is present here. They clear all their documents, and we just go for the security check and let them go from this border.
On the Afghan side of the border, people pass through like cattle, no security checks.
Incoming and outgoing people, they are from one side. There are no checking system here, and you can see the people down there. They come here at their own, and they just cross over and they enter the country.
The government in Islamabad is doing all it can to get the international community on their side at all costs. Pakistan is even erecting a physical wall separating it from Afghanistan under 24/7 surveillance. Having fought against the Soviets in the 80s and then against the Afghan Taliban, Pakistan is now cashing in on its new role as the front line fighting against international Islamic extremism.